There's lots I'd like to say, but as my colleague Victor Boyan pointed out in his various speeches over the course of this bill, we're here to give voice to the voiceless. And with the permission of the Cathaoirleach, I've been granted permission to read a letter from Sheila O'Byrne into the record of the Seanad. So these are her words, not mine. I, Sheila O'Byrne, who is an institutional church and state survivor mother, incarcerated in mother and baby institution, I'm writing this letter as I have supported institutional industrial survivors, the travelling community in the system, many years. I listened individually to the horrific drama and treatment of abuse by the hands of the church and state. There were children taken, brought to court by the hands of the cruelty man, a ward of court, little children not knowing why, taken, placed in church and state systems, taken by the cruelty man, branded as criminals, little children brought and locked away into a system, no compassion, abused by the hands of the powers to be, inside the walls, controlled inhumanely, little children treated lesser than less, never allowed to speak out. Some of the children were taken because their mother died, not allowed to be looked after by their own families, sisters and brothers, taken away, brought, separated into different institutions. Little children, age of innocence, interfered with by the hands of the cloth and lay people in their care for years, up to 16 years, 18 years when released. No accommodation, no money given, only clothing. Other children, their mothers had mental breakdowns and put into mental asylums, abused, page 3 she says, sexually in the care by the church and state, and lay people under their care took advantage. Medical profession ignored the abuse. Mothers taken, trafficked into the mother and baby institutional system after giving babies birth. Taken, adopted against the mother's will, no other choice given. Church and state lay down a law, sentenced for the terrible crime for breaking the original sin, no matter what situation the mothers were in. God himself would not have created a law invented by the church and state. Church of Ireland played its role, same system. We have to remember babies, little children, mothers who didn't survive from behind the walls, buried in unmarked graves all over Ireland. Very few survivors who died in the hands of the church and state, acknowledged in death, buried in sacred grounds, also whom died in asylums, acknowledged in death. I'm proud to be a voice for the survivors of the industrial institutions, for our living and our dead, as well as all connected. I would add the funding of millions was given to survivors under a gagging system, a code of silence instructed to each institutional survivor, empowered to children now grown up, signed their voice, taken of the horrific justice inflicted horrendously, hiding from truths, covering up the terrible wrongs, protecting church and state. Who are the criminals? Whom should be brought to justice? Now, in this present time, there are 50,000 left that was awarded to industrial institutional survivors who are crying out for help with needs of resources, housing, health, medical needs, and medical cards, mental health, which are not being given for the purpose to facilitate each survivor's needs, which they truly deserve and are being ignored. These are the children who were not cared for by the church and state. It's the government's responsibility and duty, as in the Irish Constitution, it's written all children will be sheltered and cared for up to the present day. This year, 2025, unfortunately, institutional survivors who were children and still not looked after with the means they require, if all is not bad enough. When we ask for support and help from these state-funded agencies and advocates, we are turned away time and time again and excuses made. Not enough funding and not enough staff. Elderly men and women are offered silly courses and told about waiting lists for limited counselling services. Our excuse The other doors shut in our face, many forced to still work to support themselves despite being broken mentally and physically, many living in homes not fit for purpose, many unable to meet their own daily needs. Some survivors are left with responsibility of caring for their siblings who are in industrial institutions, isolated, unable to complete simple tasks such as visiting the doctor, hospital appointments and even shopping. Solicitors were complicit and some of their offices are still open to this day, and we are still here. We are not a number on a spreadsheet, a statistic. Is it too much to ask that we are listened to, not plumosed, that we can live out the remainder of our years in dignity and comfort? Every year we bury more and more until we'll just be a search on a Google or an artefact in a €300 million museum on Sean McDermott Street. We people can come and say, wasn't that terrible? Till we are no more. Just a memory written by a survivor, Sheila O'Brien. Minister, you know, I know, everybody in this room knows Sheila has been outside the gate of Leinster House for many years. I commend her for putting her thoughts on paper. They're not my words, they're her words, and they're her words from the heart. And having listened to my colleague Victor today, and having listened to these ladies, it would draw the heart and soul out of you, so it would. But I want to say one thing before I take my seat. Minister, unlike many bills that have come to this House, where the Minister appears for a few minutes and a junior minister comes and takes over from there, you have been with us every step of the way. Your empathy was obvious right throughout the bill. And I know that you're constrained by what your department can and can't do, but I commend you for what you did do, and I commend you for having been here, and I thank you.